my son who's in prison, that I'll tell you how it came about. My book came about. I saw a flyer at a local senior center about 12 years ago, and it was a drawing of a skeleton in a closet. And there was a quote under it by George Bernard Shaw: "If you can't get rid of the family skeleton, you may as well make him dance." That intrigued me. I thought I had a lot of skeletons in my closet, and I thought that I would like to think more about why I had a son in prison. I'd like to write about it. I'd like to talk about it. And this was announcing a memoir writing class. So I joined the class, and I couldn't type fast enough. I was prolific. I was on that computer just going as fast as I could, chapter after chapter. And I wrote what intrigued me at the moment. I didn't go in any special order, and it ended up that I didn't just write about Derek. I wrote about many, many things. The difficult part was when I would go to class and we would read out loud to each other and critique. And I'd get questions like, "Well, what do you mean by that? I think you're leaving something out here. You need to put more of your feelings into it." And I'd go back and I'd sit in front of the computer and try to fill in the blanks. And I tried very hard to be honest, and just, at that time I was speaking to my children. I was writing for my children and for me. I didn't know that I was going to end up publishing it. I studied under two other teachers, and it took me 10 years to write my 4 books. There was some time out in it, but I told myself I'm going to quit when I'm 80 years old, and that was 2 years ago, and I did. And I printed everything out, all hard copies, spread them out on the floor, tried to put them together into one book, and found out I had 4 books. I heard about a company called Cruise Brand in Aptos Village. They do designs and layouts and print-ups, and I went to them. And I don't know what I would have done without them. They did a beautiful, beautiful books for me and helped me lay out everything. But for talking to Dick, I think they gave me, I don't know, I went to maybe the wrong publisher. I'm not making as much money on my books as he is. Anyway, the 4 books that ended up was, the first one's Growing Up in Santa Cruz. It's very popular. I've sold over 400 on Amazon. It's in Bookshop Santa Cruz. It's in Watsonville, Kelly's, used to be Crossroads. It's in Capitola Village. It's done very well. I haven't really seriously pushed Life Sentence. I have to find a group for it. This will be really my first serious talk about it. I've done 2 informal ones, sitting on a couch talking to people. The other book I did, besides Growing Up in Santa Cruz, was the one that's up and through my teenage years. And every book is full of photos from my albums that I scanned, and that Cruise Brand helped me scan. They were, as I say, they were a big help. While I was writing, my husband became ill, very ill, leukemia. He was my 3rd husband. We were together 30 years. And so I wrote about him. I wrote about how he was couldn't throw anything away. What do I want to say?
Hoarder.
Yeah, a hoarder. And how we worked that out towards the end, and how he wrote books on fishing tackle, antique fishing tackle. We traveled all over Europe and all of the United States. That was fun doing that with him. And anyway, I've just got his last book, which he didn't finish when he died. I got it in with buddies of his, and we're publishing his last book with his name on it. Okay, did I name all 4 books? I think I did. So anyway, I'm going to concentrate now on Derek. He's the one who's in prison, my baby. Derek was born in 1962 in Harvey, Illinois, much to his disappointment.
the rest of us were all born in Santa Cruz, and he wanted to be from Santa Cruz too. But anyway, Harvey, Illinois. And the reason why is because his dad was an undercover agent and was working out of Chicago for the federal government. And that is also his stories of all the places we lived are in the Etc. book, The Husbands, Lovers, Etc. That was very difficult, very hard, especially since he had a girlfriend wherever he went. And finally we broke up. And I came home here to Santa Cruz and moved in with his mother, believe it or not. And Derek at that time was 5. I had 4 children. The oldest was 10. I remarried when Derek was 8. I married a man, we called him Poppy, who was a widower with 3 teenagers. So we put 7 children together. Somehow or another it lasted 6.5 years. And that is also in the Etc. book. There were a lot of drugs around at that time, 60s and 70s. A lot going on at Aptos, lots of, you could buy anything you wanted. And all the kids got into it. Poppy, we called him, was more of a kid than a helper with me. He allowed marijuana drinking in the house, the 5 teenagers, and I didn't quite know how to handle it. And I didn't realize that Derek, at 11 years old, was into drugs. I thought he was not very smart and a bit lazy. I didn't realize he had a haze of drugs all the time. Well, after that marriage, I was alone for quite a while. I worked full time. I put Derek in the boys club, Sierra hiking group, Palo Alto counseling, where he had a male counselor like a big brother. I tried everything. Nothing worked. He quit everything. And he used his charms. He was very good looking, wonderful smile. He was the kind of guy that walked in a room, he lit up the room. He loved everybody. They loved him. He took advantage of them, got money from them, money for drugs, food, alcohol, drugs, and I kicked him out. But he always found somebody who would take him in. And he ended up in jail at 19 in 1984 for stealing. And again, when he was 22, he beat up his landlord. Clay, his older brother of 18 months, somehow or another talked to the authorities, and after he had served some time, Derek had served some time, he went to live with my son Clay in Alaska. He married there. He married an alcoholic who had a 5-year-old child, and they were married several years, and she died of liver damage, and Grandma came and got the little girl, took the girl home, and Derek was heartbroken that his marriage broke up and that he lost the child, and he came home and drank heavily. Again, I told him to leave, and he moved in with his paternal grandma and used her ATM card to get all the drugs he wanted. The family put him in the Janus program, alcohol program. They kicked him out for disruptive conduct. In 1998, I got a phone call from my aunt. Lois, have you seen the newspaper today? No. Derek has been arrested for rape and burglary. Detectives came to see me. I was so naive. I explained to them that Derek was using drugs and not in his right mind. I thought they'd go lighter on him and help him, not realizing that the largest percentage of people in jail are in there for something to do with drugs. So anyway, my family was burned out. I tried to get an attorney, I tried to scrape together the money, but everybody was burned out. Derek's on his own. And not too many had enough money to help anyway. So he ended up with a public defender. And he was gonna have a jury trial. And I worked real close to the public defender. I was down there haunting him practically every day. And I had to go away for the weekend with my husband. I was torn. My husband was a stepfather, you know? And his father was a drunk. His father, in fact, sometimes Derek was in jail at the same time as his father, so he was no help. And anyway, he had to go away for the weekend with my husband on business. He was selling his books. And the public defender said, nothing's going to change while you were gone. Well, while I was gone, the public defender talked him into going in front of a judge and doing a plea bargain to plead guilty on 4 charges in exchange for 7 being dropped, because there was a good chance with his prior arrest and all the other things that he had done, allegations, he could get life. So he bargained for 30 years, and that's what he got from the judge. He appealed. The appeal was denied because Derek agreed to plead guilty on 4 charges in exchange to have the 7 dropped. And the denial paper says, I have a copy. I went through everything before I came today to review everything. It says, you got exactly what you bargained for. How it works is he was charged with 3 counts of rape because he spent the night with her. She was a 21-year-old girl, UCSC student, who he'd been dancing with at the Blue Lagoon down the street. He thought, as far as he could remember, or as far as what she wanted to tell anybody, that he, it was okay for him to stay. For each count of rape, each one counts 8 years. 3/8, that's 24 years. The burglary is 6 years, equaling 30 years. The burglary was, he had his student body card on him. He had her student body card. That was the burglary. But there were other things too. So I felt 30 years was an awful long time. But anyway, he's got 6.5 years to go. He has to serve 85%, which would be 25 and a half years. So he has 6.5 years to go. And that's why I call my book a life sentence. Because I'm 82, good chance I'm not going to be around when he gets out. It's a life sentence for me. And I haven't seen him in 3 years. I have sciatica real bad, can't stand sit for too long. But we talk a lot on the phone. And he calls collect. I put money on his books. And the last call, we were in the middle of talking about the inaugural speech and so forth. And all of a sudden a woman's voice came on, and we couldn't catch the first part, but the last part was restricted. We were talking about something we shouldn't have been, and we were cut off. I haven't heard from him since. I don't know what that means. There are strict rules to learn, really strict rules. What clothes you can wear when you go visit, what you can have on you. You stand in lines. It could be raining. They don't care if there's a cover over you. Maybe there's no place to sit. It's like they don't care about you. It's like you are a prisoner too. That's how I feel when I go to visit them. After you get in this long line waiting to get in, then you get in a line to show them your paper with his name on it and so forth, and they look you up. Then you get in another line where you go through, take your shoes off, etc. And by the time you get in to visit, maybe you've been an hour and a half, 2 hours. No telling. Maybe you don't get in at all. Maybe you're not wearing the right clothes, and you go to Friends Outside maybe to see if you can find out something else you can wear. Thank goodness for Friends Outside. Or maybe for some reason your papers aren't right. It doesn't matter if you come from out of state. Rule is a rule is a rule. When he comes into the room, you sit at tables smaller than this. They were quite low because they don't want any hanky-panky going on underneath them. The prisoner needs to face the counter where the guards are, and there's speakers over your head. They're listening to what you say. You can hug when they first come in and hug when you leave. And then it depends on what prison you're in, how loose they are with the rules. There's always machines all the way around the walls where you can go get food, and you get so you know what to buy. You quickly buy what you can before it's gone. Sometimes there's fresh oranges, sometimes there's avocados. But it cost me $30, $40 at least. And it's a good business they've got going to feed Derek when I go see him. And he'll just stuff himself when he's with me. He said part of it is that when you eat in the prison, there are guards on boards, what do they call them, ramps, aiming guns at you while you eat. It's a little difficult to eat them. He went in as a level 4. You could work your way down with points to a level 2. That's as far as he could go with his charges. He is a 2 now. I'm very proud of him. I'd like a bumper sticker. My son went from a level 4 to a level 2 in prison. Yay! Each level, when you go to visit, it's more relaxed. They let you touch and hug more. It's, you know, as you go down into. When he was a 4, which is rapists and murderers, it was scary to sit in the room. I try not to stare, but you see a lot of shaved heads, tattoos all over the bodies. You see people with sort of a wild look in their eyes. Menendez was there, the guy who killed his parents, one of the Menendez, good-looking guy, blonde woman there every time I went with him. I don't know if it was his wife or what. Derek said that he was quite smart and ran the prison newspaper there. I met Doc Watson, the guy who killed Tate lady. Derek said that a lot of people will hide behind religion and pretend, you know, they're a good Christian. But he said that this guy really had become a good Christian. The guy came over to our table. Derek introduced him to me, and I shook hands with him. And it was a real weird feeling. I had a feeling that I was meeting a celebrity and felt a little like excited and then ashamed that I felt excited at the same time. I'm not going by my notes very well. There have been some shaky times. At first, when you're first in, you've got to prove yourself. And Derek's over 6, he's about 6'1", all muscle, very athletic guy. Yet he really had to watch his back, and he got beat up a couple of times, really bad. You're in a pecking order. You know, where are you going to fit in the pecking order? It depends on how good you can fight, and fight in places where the cops can't see you. Of course, sometimes I wondered if the cops were sort of in on it. I don't know, by things he said. But anyway, one time he got beat up so bad it almost killed him. He had gone into a dorm. When you're a 4, you're in a cell with a partner because they're crowded. But when you get down to a 2, you're in a dormitory. The dormitories are just rooms that have been taken over that were maybe a cafeteria, maybe a basketball court, maybe a reading room. They just all got taken over by 3-deck bunks that are so close together you can reach out to the next guy. So he was in a dorm. He hates the dorms, and he had showered, and he was standing at his bunk. He had opened his locker. Each bunk has a locker, and he had a lot of stuff because we have never missed a quarterly package, the family sending him stuff. And a guy jumped him from the back, who he had been complaining to me about in letters. Derek had been complaining this guy was after him, big guy. He jumped him from the back and then stomped on him. And everybody took the opportunity to get all his things. He lost everything. And he was taken to a hospital. And I have the reports he sent me. He sends me all these papers, so there's always backup in case he needs mom to back him up on anything. And then he went into the infirmary, and I didn't hear from him. I didn't hear from him for a long time. Finally, call. And I says, Derek, what happened? It's been weeks. He says, Mom, I almost died. Why didn't they call me? Why didn't they let me know? He said, Mom, the only way you would have known is if I was dead. Yeah. So anyway, I've lost where I am in my notes. I joined the prison ministry about 10 years ago, working on Blaine Street with the women. I quit when my husband got so sick, and I haven't gone back much since then. I don't know if I want to. I'm sort of to the place where I just want to slow down. Anyway, I was going at 9 o'clock every Sunday, and the minute I told them my story, that I had a son in prison, I was one of them. Absolutely one of them. I have 5 minutes for 20 minutes. Okay. So,
Yeah, we're at 20, you have 5 more. It's in 20 to.
and then I'll have 5 more?
Yeah.
And 5, okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, I loved working with those women. I would leave just feeling high every time I would leave them. And they said, don't tell anybody that. Don't tell anybody you feel high when you leave. We would hug and hold hands and go around the room and tell our stories. And everybody, we would put our hands on each person and pray for each of us. And it was just, it was wonderful. And as I said, I did that for about 8 or 9 years. Well, Derek now is in the California Institute for Men in Chino. As I said, I haven't seen him in 3 years. I'm just not up to it. But I hear from other family members who do go see him. He has lots of people to call. There's 20 of us. It took a long time for my husband that died to go see him, to forgive him, but he finally did go with me too. There's pictures in my books. You're welcome, even if you don't want to buy a book today, to go through and look at the pictures. You'll know what I'm talking, you'll know what they're about now. Anyway, no one bothers him anymore. He's 54 years old. He's been in longer than a lot of the guys in there. He knows the ropes. He has a schedule. He sings in the church choir. He is in 2 bands. We sent him a guitar. He's learning to play the guitar. He's studying for his AA. He complains he doesn't have any time left to watch TV. So now, I'm worried. Now he earns seniority among his peers, a life where he's fed and sheltered, his own society, respect, a routine. He's got a bad back. When he gets out at 61, I don't know what he could do. He's got a church life with others like him, a job. He's very proud of his job, and it's scrubbing the showers. That's his job. But it's a job, and he gets paid, and they don't get paid very much. So now, I'm not sure I want him out.
Makes sense.
So, I don't know what I missed. I got carried away there, but we've got lots of time for questions.
Yeah. Sure.
And maybe I can fill in the places that I've left out. Anybody got?
That's not really a question, but just thank you for your very courageousness in that, in telling that story.
Thank you. It helps me. It helps me. And I always find somebody who comes up to me and tells me about a loved one that has been in jail. You know, I find there's a lot of us.
So I have a question. If he gets out at 61 and you're not sure you want him back, why? Are you afraid he may go back to his old life or what?
Oh, no, it's not I don't want him back. I'm not sure I want him out of prison because he's happy.
Yeah.
He really is happy, and he's doing a lot of things that I don't know if he could do when he's out. Oh no, I hope I'm alive when he gets out. I don't know if they'll let him come back to the county. You don't know, you know, he may have to go somewhere else. Or he may have to go into a program, a learning program, to make sure, you know, he's okay to come out. even though he felt this woman was happy to have him there, and even though he said she got up to go to the bathroom, she got up and got rubbers for him to use. We'll never know the story. I'll never know what really happened because of him going in front of the judge. You know, that was it. He said he was guilty, period. There's nothing more. So I did get all the reports I could from the courts and all. And so anyway, he's still tagged a rapist.
You know, interesting observation never occurred to me until you just told your story. We think about people when they go to prison, we only think about them about that far, right? Once they're gone, they're gone. We don't really spend any more time. But an observation is this has been a very distinct part of your life and all the other people that he knew. So that when he goes to prison, he's not really the only one going to prison.
The whole family went.
Yeah. And I've never thought about that before, but it's almost stunning how many walls you bumped up against in your journey. And the fact that you're able to come here and talk about it, this is good. And we all appreciate that. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do I have time to read a little tiny bit from my book?
Sure.
Tell me when to stop.
Okay.
Because I can go on and on. There's something that he wrote and sent to me when he almost died. And I've got a post-it on it. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. He sent this to me. To few it matters that I'm sorry for what I did. I was stupid, so here I am. My time is my crime, my sentence my penance. As my days turn into years, my memories to tears, my dreams to fears. Clouds drift by, looking up through the slit in the concrete. Puffy clouds, puffy white clouds I see, blue behind, drifting by in my mind. I follow to the next place. They are going away from prison, someplace nice where people are kind, where you can walk anytime, any way, through forest to the beach, a simple street. Away, take me, clouds, from these inmates whose prison I share, up to look down on my prison and see it away, staring up through the slit, a window in my wall. I am in other places, though in prison I remain. The clouds keep me sane, my face purple and swollen, my ears stitched on, determined to die of old age outside of these walls. Clouds waiting, still waiting, wait on. I wish I could follow the clouds.
Yeah, that's something.
How many years did you be there
When he wrote this, oh, probably at least 10. Yeah. So,
You want to do one more?
You
One
wanna
more
do one
letter and
more?
then we'll call it a day?
okay, I'll do something, okay. One of the big things when you go to visit somebody in prison is food. They make a big thing of going over and helping you pick out what to get and so forth. And Derek just couldn't wait to go up and, I buy some of the things, but then we go up and get more. And this is what he did. Derek helped me gather goodies from the machines, and then we sat at our assigned table while he arranged his piles. Over the course of Saturday's visit, he ate a big as cheeseburger, that's what they're called, Gatorade, root beer, a French dip sandwich, Coke, a sausage and gravy-filled biscuit, string cheese, Hershey's with almonds, pecan pie, 2 chocolate milks, ice cream, and orange juice. The sandwiches were $3.50 each, and there was nothing in the machines for less than $1. I noted hamburgers were going up a quarter in a few days. I bought a tuna sandwich and bottled water for myself. Derek took great pleasure in arranging his food in piles. This is for breakfast. I'll have this for brunch. The hamburger will go in the lunch pile. Around 2 o'clock, I'll eat from this pile. His hands worked busily at this all-consuming task. I watched in fascination how food that was junk to me was such a big deal to him. And then I thought how for Derek, choosing his food represented freedom. Freedom to eat what he wanted, when he wanted, and take as long as he wanted to eat it. Just a simple thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, good.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
I can tell you that I can relate to that. I have a cousin who just got out about 9 months ago. 51 years old, has spent, of those 51 years, he spent 30 years in prison. Just keeps on going back and forth. And I'm going to buy your book to give to my aunt, his mother, because she was and is as diligent as you. And he has just moved back in with her. She is 90 years old and spent most of her last part of her life visiting him in different prisons in the California system. And so I'm going to get your book and give it to her, present to her so she has something to read, because I'm sure she'll be able to relate to that. But it's a very hard life, and you should, pat yourself on the back because you stuck by him all those years, as we stuck by our cousin too. And I just commend you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
Because there's a lot of people in there who don't have that support system. And it's for those people that we have to pray and hope that when they get out, they don't revert back to what they were doing. So thank you very much. We have a Chico bag for you to carry your groceries.
Nice. Thank you.
There you go. And if you could pick out the winner of our ticket.
For $5, and the winner is 267.
Oh,
Nice. You are a winner.